So tonight I'm preparing garlic mashed potatoes. The only difference is I'm going to roast everything before I mash them. So I've got red potatoes, shallots, and garlic. The shallots I just peeled and I'm just cutting them in half to open up the inside. And I'm putting everything inside this bowl here. And the garlic cloves I'm keeping whole, already peeled. The potatoes, I want to dice them large, and I'm going to keep them pretty uniform, so I'm putting all of those in the bowl as well. I've got the oven on at 450, and the pan is in there getting hot, so that when my vegetables here are ready, I can put them on a hot pan before I put them in the oven. So everybody loves garlic mashed potatoes, but my problem with them is there's usually a lot of butter and fat. So I'm going to change that by adding a lot of seasoning, olive oil, and add just a little bit of butter and non-fat milk when I'm mashing them. So now I've got everything in the bowl. I've got the potatoes diced, the shallots, and the garlic cloves. I'm going to add some olive oil, probably about a tablespoon, maybe 2. Sea salt. I'm going to salt these pretty good. Make sure it gets all over, so I'm moving the food around as I put the salt on the potatoes and the rest of the vegetables. And my handy dandy pepper mill. I got this pepper mill at a grapefruit cooking class a couple of years ago, and it's my favorite. They used this 5-pepper blend in the class that I took, and ever since then, it's the only pepper I use. And my husband loves it too. We even use it on hard-boiled eggs or avocados. And I'm going to add a lot because it adds a lot of flavor. All right, and then this is my secret ingredient, chili powder. But you don't need a lot unless you want it spicy. I'm going to use just a little bit to kick up the flavor a notch. And the garlic, once it's roasted and I mash it with the potatoes, is going to add a spiciness to this. So that looks pretty good. Just enough olive oil on there to coat everything. I'm going to go over to the oven and grab my hot pan. Be right back. So here's my hot pan. And since I already have olive oil on the vegetables, I'm just going to give the pan a light spray with some spray olive oil. Okay, I'm going to take all of these on there. Can you hear the sizzle? That's how you can tell your pan is hot. And I'm going to spread them out pretty good. And these are going to bake for about 30 minutes. And halfway between the baking, I'm going to give them a stir. So we're going to take just time out right now so I don't bore you with the baking process, and I'll be back when the potatoes are ready. Hi, I'm back. It's been about 25 minutes. At about 15 minutes, I stirred the potatoes and turned the temperature down to 425. So I'm going to go get the potatoes out of the oven. Here they are, all roasted and beautiful. Oh, and it smells wonderful. And I don't know if you can hear that, but they're sizzling. So usually on mashed potatoes, what you do is boil them, but we decided to roast them, and that will bring out so much more flavor, especially when you add the pepper to it. So there's the potatoes all ready. And I'm just going to take a hand masher because I would like to keep them chunky. And I'm just going to start mashing them. You can see the steam coming up. Now you can use real butter. You can add more olive oil if you like. Or you can use a healthier alternative, margarine. And I'm using one that has expeller pressed oils in it, one that I like. So I'm just going to put in approximately 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter. And that's it for all of these potatoes. And I'm just going to mash that around. So I swapped out all that fatty butter, and normally there would probably be at least an entire cube of butter in these mashed potatoes. And cream would be the other ingredient that would most likely be used in garlic mashed potatoes. But instead of cream, I'm using non-fat milk. You can use 2% or 1% if you prefer, but non-fat works just as well. So I'm just going to start with about 1/3 cup, and I'm just going to mix that in there. to watch it and see how creamy it gets. And did you know that red potatoes are the lowest potatoes on the glycemic index? So that means they metabolize slower and less sugar is released that way. So that's one reason I like to use red potatoes. And they do have a nice creamy texture to them. So I'm going to add just a little bit more milk here before I give them a taste, maybe another couple tablespoons. And if you just watch for the consistency that you like, if you like them real creamy, you can use more milk. And that looks good. So right now, they're pretty chunky looking. You can see the skins in there, you can see some of the shallots, pieces. You can't really see the garlic, but it's in there. All right, I'm going to give it a taste. See what it tastes like. Oh boy, that's really good. I am going to add a little more salt because I want to bring out the flavor of that those roasted potatoes and shallots and garlic. And I'm going to just maybe add a little more pepper. And I'm going to kick it up just a little bit because remember, it's all about the flavor. By putting in more flavor, more spices, you don't need to add the fat for flavor. So, continue to mash that up a little bit more. And that looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Now, a couple of things there. It's just kind of sticking together nicely. So I have a couple of other signature dishes on my plate. One of the vegetable dishes that I love to prepare is roasting spaghetti squash. And then when I'm done with that, I put roasted vegetables on top of that. Delicious. And meatloaf. My family loves the meatloaf. So I'm going to take the roasted mashed potatoes, put them on the plate, and there's dinner. So we have meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and vegetables. Next week, we will learn how to make the vegetables. Thank you everybody for coming. This is Cappie, guys. Have a great night.